happen and how do I handle the losses. I always say now is the time when your character will be tested. Now is the time when your true strength will be tested. See, a good boxer is not the one who keeps punching well. He's also the one who knows how to take the punches. The best of boxers, Muhammad Ali, if you see his matches, you all should see it as a motivational, if not for sports. He had that ability to take the punches when things were down and fight back. So the first tip I would give all businessmen is make yourself emotionally strong. I believe in this phase, you have to have 3 Qs which have to be very high. The first Q is your EQ, your emotional quotient. You need to improve your emotional quotient. And emotional quotient is all about your emotional balance. It's all about your confidence. I'll talk about confidence a little later again. But EQ is extremely essential in this period. The second Q is your SQ. SQ is your social quotient, your ability to take people along in this phase, your ability to work on relationships, improve relationships, your ability to ask for help when you need it, help others in this phase too. Your SQ will play a very important role in this phase. And one more SQ, which is very, very important, is your spiritual quotient. I observe that people with a spiritual bent of mind, people who pray every day, who believe in God, who have faith, that there's some higher power out there who's going to take care of everything. And with that belief, they function well. With that belief, they get strength. And with that belief, they are okay to accept these problems and say, okay, later on, we will end up winning. So 3 Qs. One is your emotional quotient, second is your social quotient, and third is your spiritual quotient. Now, coming back to your EQ, your confidence will play a very, very important role. All the people out there, all of us will have to make sure that we remain confident in this space. All great players, whether they're sportsmen, all great industrialists, whoever have had a long track record and who have sustained success, if you see their foundation is built on solid confidence. Imagine a person like Amitabh Bachchan had got bankrupt at 60. Now, he could have given up. He could have announced bankruptcy and he was crores of rupees down. But thanks to his father who guided him, and he had a very supportive family system, which he himself said that they didn't let me give up, and I managed to bounce back. So imagine a person like Amitabh Bachchan has gone completely down. So who are we to say, oh, why could this happen to me? This could happen to anybody. So if your business has gone through losses, if you're facing a tough time, it's okay. It's human to feel bad for yourself, and it's human to have a lot of sympathy for yourself, but now bounce back. The shock phase is over. Now we have to accept that this has happened and also accept that it could happen to anybody. The situation has happened to the worst of people and the best of people. Kishore Bayani, if you read his book, This Happens Only in India, Kishore Bayani, the owner of Future Group, he's gone through 15 different businesses which failed before he established what he is today. So there are a lot of people who have gone through a lot of failure and then managed to achieve what they have achieved. So a small failure now, after a good run for 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, don't let it affect you. It's very, very important to tell yourself, okay, look at where I started from. Recently, I was coaching one of the businessmen and he was very depressed. He says, I want to close down everything, cut my losses and just retire. I said, you're only 54. You have another good 8 to 10 years to give yourself. Why are you doing this? He says, no, I'm mentally tired. I'm emotionally drained. So after a few sessions with him, I convinced him to restart his business and not give up on himself. Because it's very important. Most people in this phase are getting scared and overreacting and giving up. Don't let that happen to you. You need to have the confidence to believe, okay, look at where I started from. When I started, I had nothing. Now I have 10x. Okay, I've lost 3x. I'm on 7x. But still, I'm better than where I started. So look at the big picture and also look at it that this is not going to be there forever. Do not panic too much. Mentally be strong and realize that this period is going to be there for maybe a year or two. And we have to go through this phase. You have to change your style of business. See, it's like life is like a game of cricket. It's like Sachin Tendulkar, and this famous story was shared by Sidhu. Sidhu and Sachin Tendulkar were batting in the West Indies. And Sidhu says that I just couldn't see the ball. They're bowling very fast. And as soon as the ball pitched, it just swung away. We just couldn't play. So Sachin asked Sidhu, and Sachin was just a new player at that time. Sachin asked Sidhu what's happening after he played his first over. He saw Sidhu was wobbling. So Sidhu told him, I don't know what's happening. The moment the ball hits the pitch, it just zooms away. I don't know where it goes. It swings like crazy. So the next over, when Sachin took his stance and faced the bowler, the next two balls he hit for fours. So Sidhu said, what are you doing? Sachin, he went up to Sachin and asked, what are you doing? How did you manage this? He said, sir, you told me now that the ball is swinging after bouncing. I didn't let it bounce. So he used to come on the front foot and make it into a full toss. So he changed his style of batting to be able to overcome that situation and the bowler strategy. So it's like this. Life is similar. All of us need to change and re-strategize as to where we want to go now. We might have to cut our cost. We might have to take a drop in a standard of living for a year or so, or max a year and a half. And I'm sure that if you're mentally and emotionally strong, we can see through this period. Most people are, I believe most people are overreacting. Fear has overcome them. Don't let fear overcome you. The best cricketers, the best sports people, the best industrialists were people who didn't have fear. The moment fear gets into you, you stop thinking. You stop looking at other options. So the most important thing is to make sure that you are completely ready for the future. You are confident from within, and you say, I'm ready for the fight. I know it's a tough phase, but I'm going to face it. Now, the most crucial thing in this whole thing is your attitude. It's very crucial that all of us maintain a very positive attitude in this period. A positive attitude, a person with a positive attitude is a person who says that, okay, the worst has happened. Isse worst kya hoga? The best people I like now said, who recently, one of my friends said, boss, if this year if I lived this year, that's profit for me. A positive attitude. He says, we lost a friend recently. He died. He's worth 100 crores plus, but he died because of COVID. So what is more important than having a life? Do not look at a few lakhs or a few, whatever money you lose. If you have a good family with you, you are healthy, that itself is a very positive thing. So start looking at this situation also in a positive way, saying, well, I'm healthy, I love my family, and now I've spent so much time with my family, I've bonded so much. At least in this 2-3 months, I've grown closer to my family, and we will together fight this out. So please develop a positive attitude and believe that good things will happen in the future. In fact, this particular situation is throwing up so many new opportunities, so many new business opportunities. I myself, in my own business, I didn't realize online business is so huge. I think we did have a tough time for the last 2 months, 3 months, but I believe it's a blessing in disguise for us. I've just realized in the last 2 months that there's a huge online business which is scalable. And it's so exciting. So I'm more excited now seeing what the future has in store for us. So my request to all of you, in your own business, find what are the opportunity areas. Don't get scared. If you get scared, you have fear in your mind, you will not look at the opportunities. Start looking at the opportunities. Where is it? What can I do different to create a new market for myself? Create a new business for myself. India is a huge country. We are a land of opportunities. And I'm sure if one business fails, you can look at some other business which will work for you. So my first important thing is have a positive attitude. Second, sorry.
There everyone, please mute your device, and host, please mute everyone. Yes, Minuchar, please come back.
Yeah. So most important thing, my friends, is to maintain a positive attitude. Second is a wow attitude. You know what's a wow attitude? Just think about it. WOW. It's with or without, I will succeed. With a good phase or without a good phase. With a good team, without a good team. Mentally tune yourself that I will succeed with or without. If you depend on too much on others to make you successful, it ain't happening. A successful person normally has a with or without attitude. He's all set for no excuses. He says, I want to be successful, and in this phase, I will revive myself, with or without. Next is a very, very important is develop a learning versus a judgmental attitude. Most of us are so judgmental. Half the time we spend our time judging. Oh, the government is not doing this. So and so is not doing this. We are busy judging others. This is no time to judge others. Leave the judgment to the High Court and the Supreme Courts of the country. You focus on learning. Look out, start webinars happening, and luckily a lot of webinars are free, like this one happening. Attend webinars, find out what you need to learn more. It's so important to develop a learning attitude. And for that, interestingly, you will have to develop a humble attitude. Many of us have been in the business for 25, 20 years, 15 years, 30 years, and suddenly now we're facing a situation where we have to relearn our businesses. Suddenly we are out of our comfort zone. So you have to be humble and say, well, it's a new situation. I need to learn a new way of doing business. Let me go and attend some webinars. Let me take advice from some coaches and see how I can reinvent myself. Now is the time for educating and reinventing yourself, because a lot of things are changing very, very fast. So along with opportunities, you will only see the opportunities if you are in a learning mode. It's like there is a Chinese saying, the more you know how much you don't know. Another beautiful Chinese saying is, a wise man knows how ignorant he is. So we got to get into a learning mode and say, well, it's a new world, let me learn more. And the moment you get in a learning mode, suddenly you will see more and more opportunities more clearly. The next attitude you will all have to develop is a happy attitude. I think if a person has a happy attitude, even in a sad situation, he'll find reasons to be happy. Right now, people have become very unhappy. I believe you must train your mind and your soul to become a happy person. And of course, it's a vast. I have written a book on this. There is a whole system to becoming happy and sustaining your happiness. But just as to give you all a tip, make sure one of the ways you can be happy is appreciate all that you have achieved in the past. Don't focus on what you have lost. Focus on what you have gained in the last 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, and see that, oh my God, God has been so kind. I have a lovely house, I have a lovely car, I have a good family. I have achieved so much. Okay, I might have lost, or I'm going through a tough phase right now, but I'm a happy person. I have to thank God. Grateful people are happy people. So the most people are unhappy because they're ungrateful to God. They forget what they have been given, and they focus on what they don't have. So one of the tips to have a happy attitude is focus on what you have, and it's okay. Look at what you lost, but don't look at it for too long. Start looking at what you can do. My theory is a happy person has better chances of achieving success and going through a bad phase in the best possible manner. So those were my few tips to all of you. I really hope that in the coming years, you all, in this coming phase, you'll all sustain your motivation, you'll all sustain your positive attitude, and I'm sure with if you'll do all that, God willing, uh, I'm sure everybody will come out winners out of this. It's just a matter of time. So I'll be happy to take one or two questions before I go, Ujjwal.
Thank you, Minochar. 192 people are logged on in this program in Zoom, and around 70 people, I suppose, are in YouTube. That will be going on. So close to 300 people have listened to what you have said, and very pertinently. I would request everyone to write whatever questions they would like to ask the speakers down in the chat box. You know that there is a chat box down there. In the chat box, you can write your questions, because all of us speaking together will be cacophony and there would not be any understanding. But I would like to recapitulate what Minochar has left pearls of wisdom to us. One, start by accepting reality. So December 2020 will not be December 2019 ever again. It's a new reality, what some people would be calling new normal, and we have to understand that. Second, he talked about emotional quotient, strengthening of emotional quotient, understanding one's strength and understanding others' emotional needs and strength as well. So social quotient, take people along, ask for help both ways. Spiritual quotient, very importantly, spiritual quotient. So he talked about these three Qs, and he has also talked about how these three Qs will boost your confidence. Very good example has been given of Amitabh Bachchan, who went bankrupt in his when he was 60 years old. Today he's 75 years old. He's back into reckoning with a bang. Very good example. Another very good example of change of strategy by Sachin in cricket, when he turned the killer bowling into nothing by making it a full toss, not allowing it to bounce and hitting it before bouncing. So very good example. Fear has overcome many, which is right, very right. Fear has overcome many. Learning attitude and not a judgmental attitude. This is very significant. Those who do not want to do or cannot do are always into judgments. Those who do commit mistakes, but never mind, they go ahead again. Because mistakes can only be committed if you are doing it. If you're not doing it, there's no mistake. So learning attitude, not a judgmental attitude. Humility, to relearn and come out of the comfort zone. That's a very significant point. Physical world has turned digital, and going ahead there will be physical plus digital, both together. And this is completely unknown to many people at this point of time. And therefore, many people are just counting days to go back to the old good days. But unfortunately, those old good days are not going to come back again. There could be pure digital to physical, yes. Because we are locked down, we are restrained, cannot move, so there is no physical world. But physical distancing and it will continue for some time. So we might go back to a world which is physical and digital both, and not exactly what it was in January 2020. And therefore, we need to have the humility to go back to school, to relearn. Is very significant to do that. And a happy attitude. Yes, very right. Happy attitude. The more you know how less you know. Very good example, very good lesson. More you know, and more you know how less you know. We will take some questions, one or two. There is let me just go ahead. Yeah. Now, demand is the main problem, or purchasing power, or lower production capacity. What is the main problem? Demand in the market, or purchasing power being low, or lower production? Now, this is a question. Minochar, you take it, but let me also read out very nice and motivating lecture by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. Dr. Samita Jadhav is saying congratulations for organizing such a wonderful webinar. She's telling it on the YouTube. And Sauronil Mandal saying when our classes will start. Now, Minochar is not supposed to tell that when classes will start. So at this point of time, if you are talking in Bengal, government of Bengal has said no classes till June 30 physically, but your classes are going on anyway online. The point is that you have not come out of your comfort zone. You consider only physical classes class. The online classes are going on, Sauronil, and physical classes, we are at this point of time, we are allowed to start only in July unless there is a change of policy. Mr. S.S. Pillai is saying, Minochar, you are my junior in SIBM. Nice views shared by you. Thank you. Sudeshna Datta is saying, great motivating lecture. Thank you. Arindam Banerjee, wonderful, excellent speaking, sir. Rohit Kale is saying, really nice webinar by Minochar Patel. Love that wow attitude, with or without, wow attitude. Arnabi, in this time, how can we better ourselves for our better future? Kuntal Sen is saying, sir, the lockdown has taught people to live life with essentials, and it has made people understand that it is the lifestyle and luxury that brings in the stress. So from the demand perspective, how can people be brought out of this mindset? So let me keep to this and request Minochar to take this question, the question that have been comments and questions that have come up so far. Over to Minochar.
Which question is that, Ujjwal?
I mean, that about attitude towards essentials, attitude, and the fact that whether the problem is on demand side, on production side, or on our purchasing power, those things, those issues which have been
I
brought up.
would leave that to the next speaker, this question. I prefer to answer a question dealing with my subject, that is attitude, motivation. Any question on that?
They're just Sudeshna Datta is saying three Qs are very important: emotional, social, and spiritual. Great learning. So people are basically appreciating because the aspect that you have told is of value to everyone, no doubt. So that's the. Or maybe you can say this one: lifestyle. Kuntal Sen's question you can take up. Whether we have a problem of lifestyle that is creating expectations too much within us and creating to mental stress. We can talk on that perhaps.
Okay, okay, I'll do that. Uh, yeah, so what's the name of the person who's asked the question?
Mr. Kuntal Sen.
Mr. Sen, a good question. I think I'm a strong believer that in today's world, we are all victims of being the urban poor. It's like the bigger the city you live in, the more poor you are. You go to Bombay and you see people earning 5 lakhs a month and still cribbing about, oh my God, everything is so expensive, and I'm down in a lot of EMIs, and I have a home loan, I have a car loan, and I have so many expenditures. And I think a lot of us have are living beyond what we are earning. We are trying to copy the West blindly. We have increased our spending levels for no reason. And I think the best thing that has happened, according to me, in this last 2-3 months is people have realized that they can live in a smaller budget. They don't need to be overspending. Half the time, research has shown 70% of the shopping people do is impulse purchase. They just don't need many a time. I'm talking about the upper middle class and above, not person who goes to the kirana store to buy the basics. Somebody walks into the mall. So many people who are buying things which they don't need. So I think this phase has taught people that a simple life, a life which has where you're not overspending, or you're not out of for no reason spending, can still give you a happy life. So I'm a strong believer that you have to we have to all question ourselves as to how much we really need to spend to have a happy life, and what all we need to spend on. So I know a lot of people who live a very simple life and they're extremely happy. And I know people who earn a lot, but they're always poor. They're always cribbing. And they
Yeah,
always
very well said. Minoj, one very interesting question, and that may be the last. Sudeshna Datta is asking if you can help with few tips to keep my 7-year-old girl highly motivated when she's away from school and friends physically.
Sorry, you want tips for?
A 7-year-old girl highly motivated when she's away from school and friends physically.
When she is away from school.
Yeah, obviously. Just now they're away from school, no? And friends.
Right. I think a good my strong belief is that it's a very challenging times for a whole lot of people out there to in this new phase to handle children at home and keep them motivated. But I think right now is the best time to give them a lot of positive mental nourishment. Give them a habit of every day. This is my first tip. Give them a habit of every day seeing at least 30 minutes of anything motivational every day, and show them new role models. Show them the life of, if you're on the YouTube, there are so many videos. Show them the life of Mother Teresa, show them the life of Indra Nui, all role models you would want them to see and get motivated from. I think parents can take the help of technology to motivate the kids. So develop the habit. In fact, I would suggest if the parents themselves can sit along with the kid and see that 30-minute motivational, it could be a motivational talk, it could be a motivational movie for 30 to 45 minutes to an hour. And at the end of the thing, ask her what did she learn and what would she like to imbibe from that video. I think we can use technology now to motivate our children, because they're not going to listen to the parents. Unfortunately, children don't listen to their own parents for various reasons. It's a vast topic. We can't go into that. But they would learn from a motivational speaker. They would learn from videos. So use technology to uh, motivate your children. That's my answer.
Very well said, Minochar. I will just add to that because this is something that we are also facing from many people, this sort of questions. I will add to that that there could be virtual meeting of the friends once in a while. They could meet over Zoom or any other form. Second, there should be some creative work inculcated in the child, either writing or drawing or dancing or music or just making comedy or humor, something very creative, and those creative things can be clicked and shared with friends on WhatsApp groups. I have seen children being doing it and being very happy, and one child starts doing, the other children also starts doing something else, and it becomes then they start their own Facebook page and upload these things, if the child is too small, then let this be uploaded in the parents Facebook pages, Facebook timeline. It becomes a very beautiful experience. Many schools have started that. They have started taking videos of the creative work, steals of the creative work, and putting up selectively on their YouTube channels and Facebook channels. So it's important that creative work in indulgement also should be done apart from yoga and other things that you could do. And very rightly said, coach or inspiring content can be watched. Many people are actually, not open to or not exposed to children's, creative work, children's films and all. So that this is a good time for that. So Anushya Sarkar is asking, who is the creator of demand, the attitude or the product?
Who is the
Creator of demand, the attitude or the product?
I think the creator of demands are the marketing guys, because most customers are victims of heavy marketing, and we don't even realize how our perceptions get swayed. And I think we are living in a world driven by marketing people, and that's the reality. So I would say to the product, marketing is driving the demand, and people fall for it.
One quickly, just a minute. Yes, how can we develop our social quotient in these trying times? This is particularly to your talk. Social quotient, how can we develop that?
Very good question. See, social quotient is the ability to maintain good relations with people. Social quotient is your ability to reach out to people for help. Social quotient is the ability to help people who need help from you. So in this period, I think you should identify, like if you're a business person and you know these are the people in your business who are going to help you or can help you in the future. Make a list of those people, reach out to them. In fact, in this last 2 months, I found the busiest people approachable. The busiest people replying to WhatsApp message in within 2 to 3 minutes, who would take normally 6 to 7 hours, because most people are working from home and they have now the bandwidth to receive calls, to reply to messages. And this is a good time to reconnect with people you have lost touch with in this phase where you have time now. And even in the coming phase where you're still, I would advise people would spend, I would see that people spend more time at home and less outside to protect themselves. To reconnect with your old friends. Many of us have lost touch with our old friends, our old colleagues, our old connects. We don't value old relationships. We are so busy trying to make new friends that we don't sustain old relationships. So if you have good old friends, good old associates, keep in touch with them. And if they ask for a favor, do something for them. If you need some help, reach out to them. If all successful people are people who really value relationships. I have seen that in my life as a coach and as a trainer in leadership and in all these areas of work that I do with people. All successful people, they really value relationships, and they have made a very good support system for themselves. But most importantly, they are also a support system to others. They are people who help others whenever they can. I see that there is a tendency, there's a certain type of people who don't help anybody. So when they are in trouble, they don't even feel like asking for help because they have never helped anybody. And then they feel very lonely. So my request to you is value relationships, old and new, and build a network around you of people who would be a support system in the coming years to you. And
Very well
especially
said.
this period should show us and should humble us and realize that we are very vulnerable. We would need all types of people, all types of friends to be around us when we need them.
Very well said, Minochar. I think some 20 years ago, we were friends in Pune, and I reached out to you only 2 or 3 days ago in the night to come and spend half an hour and speak to the audience today, and you accepted it immediately, and in spite of all your engagements. We are conducting Media Next for 10 days, June 1 to June 10, every morning, 4 hours. Each total of 55 speakers, including Prahlad Kakkar and Roshan Abbas and Big Source. And they're all coming and they're all speaking to the young people. 600, 500 youths are also attending. So there is this beautiful message from Barkha Jaktiani. I decided to shut down a business which I had recently started a year ago. Thought of not taking much risk just now. Couldn't bear the loss. But I'm happy, not sad, because we instead started an online session. It was a dance school, and now I'm doing online teaching, and that's bringing me happiness and engagement. Very good. Teacher Bernali Sen is saying, Adamas World School has recently taken the initiative to organize an intra-school e-summer fiesta 2020, wherein students can participate in different creative events, making the most of showcasing their talents. Beautiful. I end up with Arunima Datta's comment. Thank you, sir, for such an inspiring speech. Really feeling motivated. So the purpose was done.
Like to say, end this thing saying that thank you for inviting me. I have great regards and respect for you. That's why the moment you called, I immediately said yes. Keep doing the good work you're doing. And to all the audience members, I had very less time, so I kept my talk small. And I hope I've answered all the questions. But in case somebody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You can message me. You can email me. I'll share my email ID with you. It's Minocher Patel, MINOCHER PATEL2@gmail.com. That's my personal email ID. It will come straight to me. And I'll promise to reply to your questions within 24 to 48 hours. Any questions you have. And if it's really urgent and you find WhatsApp is the easier way to communicate, you can message me on my phone number 98220-21856. I wish you all the best, all of you. Ujjwal, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Minochar. Please, in the chat box, put your WhatsApp number and the email ID in the chat box.
Sure.
And we move to the next speaker. Host, kindly focus on Dr. Jayant Chakravarti. Highlight Dr. Jayant Chakravarti, who is an executive leadership coach, author, and the founder of Eccentric Global. He speaks from Kolkata, and we shall be now having a talk on strategic approach towards reviving small businesses. Dr. Chakravarti, please come online, come on video, and come on audio. Please start talking. And host, highlight on Dr. Chakravarti.
Thank you, Ujjwal, for inviting me to speak here. Am I audible?
Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. And I would request the host to make my presentation online or let me give the access.
I think the person can play from the host. Could you give the access either to him or play it on your own?
Yeah, host need to allow me to.
Yeah, they will. They know that. Yeah.
Fine.
Yes, the screen sharing has started. You can start speaking. The first screen will come. Yeah.
Thank you.
Full screen. Yes, you must continue. And you can say next, and the host can change.
Fine. So it's a pleasure to interact with all of you. And my compliment to the opening batsman, Mr. Minocher. And it is really a pleasure to share this innovative program with Dr. Anil Lamba. He's my good friend, and also Dr. Julie Banerjee, and also waiting for my friend from Gujarat. And also I'm thankful to Professor Sumit Roy, the Chancellor. And without wasting much time, let me go to the topic. It's reviving small businesses. Go to the next slide, please. I would start with a small story. Everybody loves story. So I would start with a story of one monk from the Pramukh Swami organization who was invited to speak in a CEO's conference where there was head like Oracle head, Satya Nadella was there. So he was actually thinking that how these people are selected. Because, you know, Satya Nadella's annual package is almost $43 million. Oracle head gets almost $16, $17 million. So he asked this gentleman that how you select people in your organization in the top leadership post, because you don't need to ask them that, what is your credentials, you know that, what is your educational qualification, they're the best of the best of the best in the world. So now what USP of this selection? And the gentleman replied that, sir, we only ask one question to them. And what is that question? Because he was very curious, because only for that question, how this astronomical sum is paid to them. So he asked that, what is this question? And the reply came that we just asked them that, tell me your failure story. What is your failure story? And we gave them 25 to 30 minutes time to explain his failure story and how he came back from that. Because everything, he have a proven track record. Perhaps he has made the last company grow to almost 400, 500 times. So we don't need to speak about or discuss about how he is going to perform, because he is supposed to perform. So why we ask the failure story? Because this is the acid test that when everything goes wrong, what he's going to do and how this premium companies value, premium companies contribution to the society, to the world, how they can keep the mental ahead. So this time also reminds me this story, because we are all struggling for this pandemic in every aspect, be it education, be it healthcare, be it manufacturing, be it logistics, be it every domain. So I would start with this story, and then I would ask you, I don't know how many SME participants are here, as because it is, I think it's a mix and match of all, but let me share a few things with you. If now imagine that you are in 2030 and you are looking back to 2020, what type of organization you expect to be in 2030? What type of team you expect, what type of turnover you expect, what domain you expect, what fantasy you have about your business. Because, you know, business is a long-term thing. It is never a short-term thing. Next slide, please. Can I request for the next slide? So how your business will look like? This is a very crucial question, because there will be two type of people in the future. This is BC and AC. What is this BC? Before COVID and after COVID. Go to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. So either you'll be made by COVID or you'll be broken by COVID. Now, choice lies with you only. Now, there is an international survey which can be explained in the next slide. That, yeah, I'll move fast, so the slide changer has to be faster also. So there are 5 common challenges across the globe of this MSME sector. One is the material shortage, then comes the drop in demand, then comes the worker shortage, then comes the cash flow issue, and then planning issue. Now, based on these issues, I have thought that this is extraordinary time and it is extraordinary idea. This idea, which I would like to share some bullet points, will be explained in the 6th domain. First, I will start with every idea starts with leadership. So let me go to the next slide, please. Can I go to the next slide? So leadership, why it is very, 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 very important, because it is the capacity of the leader which explains your company's situation. And in every business, we are all leaders, you are all leaders, but your capacity defines your profit, your outcome, your expansion, everything. I am very much fond of this beautiful quotation by the great Peter Drucker, who is telling that only three things happen naturally in organization. It is friction, confusion, and underperformance. Everything else needs leadership. Next slide, please. So right from revenue generation, right from customer acquisitions, right from employers retention, right from customer retention to making profit, you need a strong like-minded team, and they need a COVID resilient leader. Now, if you take top 500 companies, you'll find many of them are 30, 40 years old. They have seen many challenges. That is the only way to grow. Now, 2008, we faced one global recessions. There, many companies came out from that recessions, and top 25% of companies who came out of that recessions, they are called resilient team. And two secret of their success is, one is speed, another is discipline, because this is a very fast changing world. You cannot be slow. So you need to be speedy as well as you need to be disciplined also. Go to the next slide, please. If you, in any situational distress, there are these 4 levels of layers. First is you disbelief. When the pandemic came, and when I can remember when I was attending one Economic Times event 3 months back in Kolkata in Taj Hotel. I was invited there. So what I found that at that time we are making joke on coronavirus. Even there was a central minister, so we are all laughing about, say, China mein aa gaya, abhi idhar kya hoga. There were songs, there were jokes, the host was making fun, everything was good. Now, once the attack came and it started dismantling everything, and you started disbelieving what is happening across me. I cannot speak to people, I cannot touch anybody, I cannot make handshake, I cannot visit anywhere, everything is locked down. Now there are a lot of warning, lot of national, international report. Every person on the street is a medical expert. Every person on the street is an economic expert. So every person on the street is telling something. So there was utter confusion. So you are in a state of disbelief. Then comes frustrations. People lost job. People cannot travel back to their home. People cannot even express their illness, even for a small flu or small fever. They are scared that if I talk, if I ask for the medicine, then I may be put in a hospital, in a quarantine center, I am gone. So this state we have already crossed. Now we are in a state of realizations. Then we started realizing that now we have to live with it. Corona is not going. Corona has entered into our Panjika. So what we'll do, how we are going to restore the system, how we'll make ourselves resilient to that. So now we are in a designing process. Go to the next slide, please. So this, what I can say that this cash management, which I would not speak much about it. Cash is the blood. Cash, here Dr. Lamba is there. He's the guru on this topic. So maximum business failure is due to this cash mismanagement. And I know that Dr. Lamba conducts beautiful workshops on that. So he's there. He will explain in a better way. So lesser sustaining fund, many companies, even the startups, they are in a very bad situations. Not only startup, many MSME are in a very serious acute cash crisis. They cannot run 3 months, 4 months because they don't have any reserve. So now there are 2 types of people. One is since pandemic is not destroyed everything. There are sectors which are growing in 10x, 30x, 40x level. So now if you belong to that sector, do you have the further investment capacity for this emerging market? Then second is many MSME people, I know many owners, they are in a very bad situation because the work they have done earlier, the job assignment, the business assignment, the projects, whatever they have done, they have not got the payment. In between the lockdown, they are now trying to fathom out how they are going to get back the money. So how you will do it? Now, next comes the government dole. Now government has come up for many bailout system for the MSME with the cheaper loan, moratorium, etc., etc. So now it is up to you that whether you need the fund, whether you want the fund, whether you want this finance at the cost of your business, or is this lucrative? If you take the finance, is there any chance that that you can assess and fathom out that whether your business is going to multiply in this between? Go to the next slide, please. Then supply chain. It is the worst affected in this entire scenario. And perhaps if you are from Kolkata and you have faced Amphan, you know that what I'm talking about. Still the broadband is not active in many places. Still there is this West Bengal State Electricity Board and CSC both are struggling. So, and even for the transport, even everywhere, what happened that people who left, it's very difficult to brought back. Now in a global survey, it is, the assessment is done that this 61% people are expecting that the recovery will take 6 to 8 months. And 39% believe that it will take 2 to 3 months. Again, that depends on their sector specific experience and expertise and the business domain. Go to the next slide, please. Then 3 steps are considered for this: optimizing allocation of work to priority customer. 78% people are doing that because they have selected the priority customers, and priority customers, they are trying to give the best service. Then second comes the fast tracking productivity with automation initiative. 41% people are doing this. Then hiring additional temporary labor. 24% people doing this. Management is not about jargon. Management is managing the productivity, the efficiency level, the execution levels of the people. There is a small anecdote which has been shared by one great speaker a few days back. I was attending one global workshop. He was telling that there is a small acronym he uses, this KKDS. What is this KKDS? Every time any expert comes and shares any formula, I just ask them, KKDS. What is this KKDS? Karke dikhao, sarji. Kuch karke dikhao. Go to the next slide, please. Now comes this customer. This is the blood flow of the entire business, because if you don't have customer, you are gone for a toss. Now finding customer, what you need to do? Any media you use, social media, branding, reputation, funnel, whatever you say. I am sharing one experience few days back. In my birthday, I got a message from the HDFC Bank that wishing you a very happy birthday, and there is a link for video specially made for you. And I clicked the link, and there came my name, etc. Then there is a value addition, that how I can contribute to the society smile in my birthday, to making other people happy by donating, by doing some social contributions. So that I like very much, because, you know, creating value. What you do right now for your customer, what you do right now for your employee will decide your business future. And then another story I'd like to share, not story, it's just in this seminar, someone is asking, and I would like to reply that question. I forgot the question, but the link I can share is that, who makes a movie? If you see a blockbuster, it is made by the producer, technicians, actors, directors, everybody's involvement is there. Now, who will decide that it will be a blockbuster? That will be decided by the tea stall people, rickshaw, footpath people. Everyone and each one will like the movie, then only it will become a blockbuster. So finding customer, you need to create, now this marketing is nothing but purchasing customer, how you can act to your audience. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So selling is now getting your message to the new market, reach to the lost client. How many clients you have lost? If you have a client database, you will find that 60% of the client left you. Now, how you can regain their confidence? Make a crisis expert team, assemble an inquiry center, how they can sort out all these things. Reach the existing market for the new reference, because until and unless your customer refer you, then your business viability will be in a questionable situation. Next slide. And CRM, it is now the best way to have the funnel of business. Next slide. Now, finding new business opportunity. You need to check your product relevancy in the present situation. How many people I have seen that already they have switched over. Many people came into this, this health sector supporting system, like making masks, making sanitizer, bringing equipments, and selling them to the different industry. Also, they are providing the sanitization services. And just now, I have seen in your my dear friend Ujjwal's group that somebody has posted that there is a home quarantine facilities service. It's very unique one. Wow Momo is offering grocery delivery. Zomato, Spencer, Swiggy started offering grocery, liquor. So there is a new orientation of business in every aspect. There may be n number of references which we can share from our own corners. And let me make it very crisp. Go to the next slide, please. Next. So now the question comes to go global, because I have seen that there are many emerging opportunities, and our respected Prime Minister has also narrated this thing, that India is now the center of focus in many industry trying to come up here, already started pouring different type of business proposals in through different chamber of commerce. Many central government, state government has created unique setup for this. Not only that, few days back, I was listening to Mr. Mohandas Pai. He was speaking that there are states, 5-6 states, which states are quite rich, and their average annual income per capita is 2,60,000 per head. And the eastern side, not being so financially rich, the average per capita income is 1,40,000. So now what will happen that in future, all the state governments need to be business proactive much and more, and they need to act as independent entity to facilitate the business owners as well as bring back opportunities. And you are there to use this business platform to reach the global market. Trade pattern is changing. There will be more focus on domestic productions, requirement of small transport, cargo, ships, aircrafts, focus on health related, fintech businesses jump like anything. So many such new emerging market is coming. Go to the next slide, please. Next slide. So this is the crux of everything. Those who are into the IT business or IT oriented business or digitally enabled, or they have adopted very fast, just like this Adamas University, just like many other schools, colleges, everybody is now on digital platform. So now your business needs to be into this platform. You need to leverage this actually. So we need to shed off our older innovation because I have seen in many why this cash management system fails, because people, especially mediocre business people, are scared about taking consultations of the good quality chartered accountant and experts. They always go for this Lala type people. They are Lala type people, and they take the local accountants who are most of the cases, they are very narrow minded. They don't have the bigger vision and make the balance sheet in such a way that that fellow never gets a bank loan, never gets a good finance. If I'm not wrong, I think Dr. Lamba can explain it in a better way. So this work from home is the new normal. So your business support system, if it is digitally enabled, if you just yesterday, I went to a this lens cut showroom just for a eye checkup, power checkup, and I am much in delighted to see that once my mobile number has been keyed in their system, I saw that what type of glass frame I have purchased from them. Then another maybe GKV is also having that type of system. All of them. So you need to digitalize so that there will be a single control point out of which you can access your inventory. You can access, because there is a lot of wastage for that also. You have wrong inventories, you cannot reach to the customers. And when the demand is there, then your inventory is mismatching. So
Dr. Jain,
business support
kindly finish in next 1 to 2 minutes. So
yeah, I'm going to, this is the last slide probably, I think. So what will be your strategy for new opportunity, for how you are going to leverage it, how you are going to scale up it, how you are going to focus on the marketability. So this is in a nutshell what I felt that should be shared. Thank you so very much for listening to my few ideas. Once again, thank you Adamas University for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
You have really covered a large area. You've spoken about CRM and ECRM in today's time. You've spoken about confident leadership, and you've spoken about business expansion in the newer possible areas, emerging markets, and going global. And very rightly said that quickly, how do you transform yourself? That depends on that, the further progress. Thank you. A very good talk, but be there. We'll take questions a little later. We'll invite the next speaker. And this speaker now comes from Gujarat. Pravindan Gadhvi, the site head and general manager manufacturing of Lupin Pharma, Gujarat. And thank you, Mr. Gadhvi, for being present in this program organized by Sumitra Foundation as an social outreach program, reaching out to people at this point of time on what life should be next. Therefore, our program series is called #LifeNext series. Over to Pravindan Gadhvi, GM, Lupin Pharma, Gujarat. Yes, Gadhvi sir.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, you are audible. Please continue.
Yeah, good evening all, and thank you very much for getting this platform in front of all viewers and all friends. It was a very nice talk by Mr. Manacha Patel and Dr. Jayanta Chakravarti. It's a very good, important topic has been considering the present scenario. We have been suffering initially with the coronavirus, and now we are suffering with the economic virus. So since entire globe is get standstill due to COVID-19 impact, and it's quite challenging to sustain our health and our business. So I want to discuss three parts. What is the present situation? What will be the impact on industry? And what should be an action plan to get recovery from this present situation? The status, we have been suffering due to COVID-19 impact since January 20 when it hit China first, and then immediately it's entire globe. In a very short time, entire globe gets standstill because of our first priority is to focus on health first. And if you remember the first speech given by our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, he has mentioned that we are taking all actions and steps based on our observation and monitoring on other countries who have been suffering equally on this COVID-19 situation. And because of that, since health is remain on the first part, our other sectors, including economy and industry, remain on the second priority. So if I want to tell on MSME part, the MSME sector has affected a lot because the production gets shut down. We have non-availability of labor. We have poor liquidity and cash flow, non-availability of raw material, and cost has increased. So MSME sector has impacted a lot. So what will be the impact in near future? If you again see the scenario at China, at Wuhan, after 76 days shutdown, they have started their operation. But in last 2 months, they're able to operate their business in 30 to 40% only. So this indicates that the new normal situation take time based on the need and requirement of the customer. And I want to say that the need and requirement of the customer depend upon two parts based on the essential service and non-essential service. So get back normal will depend upon the essential and non-essential service of the customer. We have some figure in case of essential service and the non-essential part. So if I figure out the expenditure pattern of the people, normally we expend and spend our money mainly on essential part, that is food and beverage. Our expenditure is 27% on food and beverage. Our expenditure is 17% average on transportation. Our expenditure on fuel, water, and household equipment is 14%. Our expense on clothes and footwear is 6%. Health is 5%. On education is 4%. On furniture and household it is 3%. Hotels and restaurant 2%. And on communication it's 3%. So based on that based on this expenditure pattern, we should understand that what is essential and what is non-essential. So the industry will take time based on this priority, based on the demand and based on the requirement of the people. So when we are planning for the new normal, we have to understand that what is the need of the people. So based on the need of the people, customer will get back on the market, and based on the demand, entire supply chain will get normalized. So I feel that to get back the normal, each and every MSME sector has to understand the need of the customer. So I would like to share the example of my industry, that is Lupin Limited. Lupin Limited, as a pharma industry, we fall in the essential service. And it has been expected that we have to maintain our operation to support the health sector. So how we are able to maintain this? So I want to share 3 to 4 challenges which we are able to overcome stage by stage. And 35th March, when the lockdown has declared by Prime Minister, that is lockdown 1.0, and immediately we have to start our operation. So first challenge we faced about the non-availability of people at workplace, because there was a high level of fear, high level of anxiety, people unable to get back on the shop floor because of the government policy. So that was a very big challenge. We able to get only 10 to 15% manpower at the workplace, and it was expected to run the plant at full operation. So this was the big challenge. We have interacted with the government. We understand that to overcome the fear of people, we have to provide a safe environment. So we have consulted with them. We have created the system to ensure that the health and all requirements should be in place, so that people get the confidence. There is no any harm to our health. There is no any threat to the workplace environment. And slowly we able to get back the people at workplace. So this is very important that when we provide a safe environment, then and then only people will get back on the job. The second challenge is, even though we able to run our plant, it depends on the surrounding industry. We have to get the raw material, we have to liquidate our byproduct, we have to liquidate our solid waste generation. So we have to interact with all industry, and we have to ensure that if they are able to maintain their operation, then and then only we can operate at full scale. So we have coordinated very well with the all industry. We have involved government to ensure that they give approval to all supporting industry. We ensure that what are the constraints at the supporting industry. Mainly they all are on small scale and medium scale industry. So they may have major concern compared to large scale industry, considering the capability and their strength to interact with the government officials. So we have supported all supporting industry, understand their concern, and based on that we have planned our operation. So with the collaborative approach, along with the MSME sector and large scale sector, we are able to maintain our operation. The third challenge was to fulfill the demand of customer. Since we manufacture the raw material, we manufacturing the product in terms of API and formulation, which ultimately help for the patient, but unavailability of transportation and supply chain, we are unable to meet the demand of customer. So we have coordinated very well with the transporters, we have coordinated with the supply chain, we have coordinated with globally and domestically to meet the demand of customer. We have imported as well as we have exported the material by close coordination with the authority and with close coordination with the supporting industry. So I feel that we can manage our operation by very collaborative approach with each other. So this is the example of large scale industry, but I feel that there are major challenges in terms of MSME. They have financial challenge, they have managerial challenge, as rightly mentioned by Dr. Jayanta Chakravarti. They have technological challenge. As a part of this, the most of the MSME sector are unorganized sector. Their funding comes from the informal sources. So this will be a big hurdle for the government to provide a systematic support to all MSME sector. So overall MSME has a big challenges. To back MSME on back to normal operation, I feel that there should be a two part. Government has to ensure that the required support should be available to MSME sector, and all MSME sector has to develop their capability to fight with the present situation. As per me, till now, government has given a good scheme in terms of various support. On government part, government has reclassified the segment of MSME sector in terms of their turnover between 1 crore to 5 crore for micro scale, 5 crore to 25 crores for the medium scale, and 50 crores to 100 crores for the small scale industry. And based on their, they have defined some benefit in terms of funding, in terms of loan, and in terms of better availability of tax and GST clearance. So I feel that government is doing good. As per our past experience, day by day, government is also altering their policy. So it is very important that MSME sector has to coordinate very efficiently with the government. And I feel that present government is quite flexible in case of any support required. As per our experience as an industry, they are ready to support in case of any requirement comes from the industry. So it is very important that the government and industry has to work parallelly, has to observe day by day situation, and based on that we have to demand what are the actions we are expecting from the government so that we can streamline our business. In terms of capability, I feel that the individual MSME sector has to focus on 4 parameters. That is A, B, C, D of the situation. So what is A? I think that has been very well mentioned by Mr. Patel. That is attitude of the customer. The customer will come back based on his need and priority. As I mentioned that on essential and non-essential part, on essential part, customer will definitely encourage to go for the market. On non-essential part, their priority will be less. So customer will turn back based on the priority. So we have to understand the demand and requirement of the customer. The situation will improve day by day. We will celebrate the festival. We will get back on our normal life, but we have to focus day by day about the situation is getting back on the normal. The day will come when attitude toward the situation will get changed. So the first part, understand the attitude of customer, and based on the attitude of customer, we have to define our supply chain. The second part is behavioral of customer. Even in tough time, customer has fulfilled his need and requirement. We have been in market during lockdown 1.0, even lockdown 2.0, in lockdown 3.0, because to fulfill our needs and the requirement. So customer will survey, customer will come to you based on his demand and requirement. So all MSME sector has to understand the customer need and requirement. And based on that, he has to provide the safe purchasing. He has to provide the safe environment for working, and he has to provide a safe environment for visiting of his industry. If you are considering about retail market, now a lot of malls are going to start. They have to provide safe environment in terms of social distances, in terms of preventing the contamination between the people. They have to ensure that proper hygienic condition at workplace. Same is following at the industry. If I giving example of my industry, we have taken various action from transportation, from workplace, from getting back to the home, each and every area. We are ensuring that proper social distances should maintain between the employee. They should ensure that they are being working in very hygienic environment. We also ensure that whoever coming to the company has been checked about his health and he is fit to work at his workplace. So such type of environment we have to create our workplace so that the customer as well as employee get the confidence about our system. And when the employee and customer get the confidence about the system, their behavioral get changed. And once their behavioral get changed, he will definitely come for the getting the business. So this way we can encourage the demand, we can starting maintaining the supply chain. So this is the A part about the attitude of customer. B part is the behavioral of customer, and C part is the competency of our surrounding and supporting industry. All industry mainly depend on surrounding industry, and we have to ensure that the capability and requirement of our supporting industries are readily available or not. So if we don't focus on our supporting industry, then we cannot sustain our business. So it is very important that we have to understand the capability and sustainability of our supporting industry. We have to support them to maintain the overall supply chain. And part D, demonstrate our action based on day-to-day information available. So we know that day by day, the government is coming up with the different policy. Day by day, the situation is changing. Day by day, the requirement is changing. So we have to focus very closely on the requirement and policy change by the government. And we have to demonstrate our action very aggressively. If we demonstrate our action very aggressively, definitely we come back to normal at the earliest. So I feel that if we focus on this A, B, C, D part, and we focus quite closely on the situation, I definitely feel that we'll get back the normal situation as early as possible. I have experienced in my industry, we have supported not only at our shop floor, but we have coordinated and collaborated very well with the supporting industry, with the government, with the customer, with the employee. So by consulting, coordinating, and creating safe environment, the all MSME sector may get back normal at the earliest. So this is all final message, Mami. At the end, I want to quote one of the quote by Harivansh Rai Bachchan. He has mentioned that असफलता एक चुनौती है, उसे स्वीकार करो. ये जो सिचुएशन है वो एक चुनौती है. असफलता ये सिचुएशन एक चुनौती है, उसे स्वीकार करो. क्या कमी रह गई देखो और स्वीकार करो. जब तक सफल न हो नींद चैन को त्यागो तुम. संघर्ष का है ये मैदान, उसे छोड़कर मत भागो तुम. कुछ किए बिना तो जय जयकार नहीं होती. कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. So I feel that if we put all efforts constantly, consistently, and effectively, we will get back to normal at the earliest. So I hope I have summarized all the points which is relevant to this topic. In case of any questions, I am offering for this.
Yes, thank you. You really have inspiring talk with a lot of information as well. You know, you have given the breakup of expenses of a common household, middle class household, and there you are focused on normalizing the essential services at the earliest and focusing on business of essential services and not non-essentials. You have talked about collaborative approach, collaborative approach to face this crisis and not mere rivalry in business.
Hello. Hello. I think connection get lost.
With the connection. Some problem with the connection.
Yeah. Hi,
It was a wonderful delivery, sir, from your side.
Thank you. Hi, Ujjwal.
I think some network issues.
Yeah.
He'll join back right now. He'll join back.
Okay. Pravindan sir, there are a couple of questions in the chat box. UKC.
I'm not getting voice properly. Can you be better loud, please?
A couple of questions that I would request you to take from the chat box. Kuntal Sen has written, sir, the API and many input materials in pharma industry comes from China, though India is the largest manufacturer of hydroxychloroquine. Why do we have this kind of a dependency on China, and why did we not think of developing our own sector for this
Composition?
Let me share about the dependency on China. So if we get back on the history, our dependency on China, particular on pharma business, used to be around 60 to 70% earlier. But with the very effective steps by the government as well as the entrepreneur in India, we have been reduced very dramatically, and now our dependency on pharma, particularly the large scale industries who is being manufacturing API, we are depending only now 25 to 30%. So with this, a lot of actions is being taken at the industry level. We are also thinking of backward integration of our products so that we can reduce the dependency on China particularly. And now government is also encouraging that how we can be a Atmanirbhar Bharat. So I think a lot of schemes has been approached by government, and we'll definitely work on this so that we can reduce the dependence. Anything further?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry, there was a power
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're back now. Yes, Gadvi sir, we'll come back with questions. There are two more speakers. So we will first get with the speakers and then. Is Julie ma'am there? Yeah, Julie ma'am is already there. Dr. Julie Banerjee, founder and CEO of JVHR Innovation Services, Patna. We had a talk on the attitude aspect by Minochar Patel, then on strategy of business by Dr. Jayanti Chakrabarti, and then some very practical operational guidelines from Mr. Pravindhan Gadvi. Now we'll move to an HR expert, a talent expert, HR expert, Dr. Julie Banerjee, founder and CEO, JVHR Innovation Services, Patna. Over to Dr. Julie Banerjee. Yeah. Kindly focus or highlight.
I'm here. Right,
Welcome,
sir.
madam.
Good evening,
Welcome,
sir.
madam, to you. Welcome, madam, to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. And good evening, everyone. Thank you, Professor, respected Professor Sumit Ray, Chancellor, Adamas University, Professor Ujjwal Chowdhury, Pro Vice Chancellor, Adamas University, and all eminent speakers present here today. Well, it was an excellent delivery from all the speakers, and I could remember everything. Patel sir's delivery and Jayantada was awesome, and Dadri sir it was a very inspirational message at the end, very nice. Well, I would like to add one more quotient to what Patel sir talked about, like 3 Qs he talked about. We can have the fourth Q is the happiness Q, which is happiness quotient, you know. So at this moment of time, well, he talked about happiness, but let's count happiness in the Q, which is the need of the hour at this moment, you know. So happiness Q is very important, where we need to keep ourselves happy and by accepting what we have, you know, at this moment. Well, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk about reviving small businesses, MSMEs post-COVID. Well, 2020 is emerging as a watershed year in collective memory as a no-brainer. Like for individuals and institutions alike, COVID-19 created a situation that business and governments were completely ill-prepared to deal with and had never anticipated and still grappling actually. So here, the Indian MSME sector is the largest in the world, second only to China, and is seen as the backbone of the economy. Now, across the world at this moment, I mean, across the world and in India included, MSME sector has been impacted the most. So India is managing the effects of the global COVID-19 pandemic using unprecedented, health issues and economic measures. Now, yet the continued lockdown, which is taking place, and it has got a lot of impact on the economic activity over the past few weeks, which is, undoubtedly choking, every small business owner. Now, for business leaders, the focus is on interventions like that can prevent business closure and minimize the damage to the livelihoods of employees. Now, post the extension of lockdown across the country, it is relatively certain that the economic effects will continue to impact the sector for at least another 6 months or more than a year, or we are yet to see the worst. Research says that we are yet to see the worst. So, but the way business leaders are handling this chapter, yes, is yet to make all the difference in the long haul. And while the choices at hand seem limited, there are still potential strategies which can be applied. And here where Ujjwal sir has given me this topic to talk about team spirit, HR, and all. So definitely here where team spirit is the need of the hour. We need to work in team, and I would like to quote an example of our of former of APJ Abdul Kalam, and when he was like his boss, Professor Dhawan. So once he took, I'm sure you must have heard this story. It's an old story, but I'm so impressed, and still I get motivated. Still that motivates me, and I always follow the same thing with my team as well. So like once he took blame for Dr. Kalam's failure, and the Professor Dhawan was an ex-ISRO chairman, his Satish Dhawan sir, and he accepted responsibility for Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's failure. So he, in fact, he was very Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was very happy for his for his launching for his SLV-3 mission satellite, but unfortunately it couldn't work, and it fell into Bay of Bengal. And something here where Professor Satish Dhawan, he took all the blames, he took all the charges, he took all the blames, and he faced the media. And next time, when Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam again he tried the same thing, and when he was successful, that time he asked him to go face the media and take all the credit. So this is what team spirit is, and here where we need to take each other's, we need to handle each other, we need to support each other. And this in this pandemic, this is the time wherein we need to handle each other's, we need to uplift, we need to motivate each other, we need to bring back the confidence which we have lost. So here where the business leaders manage this chapter is set to make all the difference in the long haul, and definitely a lot of potential strategies going to be applied. Now, where here I would like to talk about the recovery plans needs to be developed by business leaders, and ideally by their finance and accounting team. So here again, I would like to say that team spirit, one decision cannot be taken alone. Here each and every person has to be, views to be taken care, their views to be considered, and we need to come to a common conclusion. Then only an organization can be successful. So when we talk about organization is what group of people working together with a common goal. So here where the common goal in a coordinated manner will definitely work, and during this pandemic, here we are in a tough state, and the very next moment is so uncertain what will happen. So here it is very important to be to work together, to work in team, to work like a family. And here I would like to talk about ABC. So my co-panelists, they talk about A, B, C, D, ABC. Here I'll talk about ABC, but in the terms of management. So I'll talk about management perspective. It's a ABC framing, planning framework. A stands for assessing, B stands for building, and C stands for communicating. So now the team member has to assess the situation. So here for the SMBs, for the small businesses, managing cash flow is a challenge. It's number one challenge for most small business at this moment. Now, at this time, managing cash flow is critical for survival. Now, here where we need to have a complete understanding, understanding of the cash and the working capital we have, and the best place is to start, therefore, is with an assessment of cash flow. And so my next co-panelist is a chartered accountant. He'll talk about the balance sheet and the cash flow and the outflow and the inflow at this moment. What is required? What is not required to take care? But let me talk about little bit about this assessment of cash flow. So here, the small business need to ask few questions. They need to ask few questions, like three important questions they need to ask to themselves. First, whether based on their cash flow, do you think they can function for another 6 months? Second, if not, is it a time to shut down or segment of any segment of the operation? Third, based on cash flow, is continuation of the business or segment for the next 12 months probable? So it's a very tough question, and here where we need to understand, we need to scrutinize, we need to evaluate everything. Now some businesses have enough cash, for survival and to survive for another 6 months. But here where business recovery is also very important now. But a lagging business recovery will definitely erode all available cash deposits, cash available cash before until unless cash positive cash flow is reestablished. And therefore, here where assessments may be made. So I have jotted down like few steps, few assessments, which is very important. Few steps, which is very important for the small businesses. First is 80-20 rule. The small business, they must work on the 80-20 rule, which we have studied earlier into Pareto, which is called Pareto principle. It's like identify the 20% of customers that bring 80% of revenue, and let's focus on them, focus attention on collecting what you can from them. I can give you a very good example of that, like in the case of restaurant. Like it is very important, like during this pandemic, it is very important, like survival of restaurant, newly established restaurant has been a big challenge at this moment. Now here where it is very important to identify. Now here the restaurant owner have to see that like for example 6 to 8 or 6 to 9 is the peak hour wherein he can earn what he can't earn whole day, right? So he need to focus on that peak hours, right? Instead of sitting whole day, instead of not earning anything and not covering anything. So it's better to focus on that peak hour. So here the focus is here where we need to apply the 80-20 rule. So here the identify the 20% of customers and that bring 80% of revenue. So like in these 7 to 9 in this peak hour, the number of customers, if the number of customers are more, definitely we should focus during that that time, that duration, right? And here second step can be it's prioritizing existing and long-term relationships. Here where team is very important, and working in team, and let's focus on let's focus on the existing customers rather than the newer ones, because they are the one, they are likely to understand you because they have trust in us, they have trust in the business. So definitely they will retain, and they will buy again and again. They'll have they will place an order again and again, because since they have a lot of trust on the company. So let's focus let's prioritize on the existing and long-term relationship rather than the newer ones. Next is the operating cost. The team has to the personnel, the team, it's a team spirit. Anybody cannot work alone in order to achieve the organizational goal. And during this pandemic, it's a tough time, here where we simply don't know what is going to happen next time. And here where COVID-19 is an unprecedented situation of a scale that the world has never witnessed before. So here during this time, the team, the people, the business people, they'll have to reach to the vendors and ask for payment extensions, and where possible, they can convert fixed cost to variable cost. Like for example, I can give you an example. Like instead of hiring a full-time sales executive, we can go for an executive on commission basis. So rather this will save our cost as well. So once things will be normal, definitely we have got a lot of time to hire people. But this is the time when we need to save our visas. What we have cash with us, we need to save, and we need to act smartly at this moment. Well, employees are an asset, asset for the organization. So I talked about A, B, C framework. A for the assessment. Now comes to the building plan. So here where building the plan is very important. Once we know the situation of the cash flow, we know what we have with us at this moment. And it's a time for step 2 where we need to review, we need to review and recreate a new business plan, and that is aligned to a revised reality versus expectation picture. Now, this revaluation here, where we need to reevaluate all the plans. Like for example, we need to have a look with the rental agreements here, where HR people, they'll play a very important role. They'll see to they need to see all the contracts and everything, all the agreements, insurance policies, contracts with the suppliers, finance department. Everybody needs to work together in team, and here where complete, the survival of the company depends a lot on building a plan. So it is very, very important for us to understand this. Now, I would like to say that here it is important to enhance customer engagement. See, as in marketing, we say that customer is the king. So here where customer engagement is very important, and contact them. We need to contact them. The team, the the employees, they need to connect them, contact them. They need to take the time to time review to be taken, verification, and we need to manage their expectations. We need to identify, we need to find out what they are looking for, what they are expecting at this moment, whether they have paying capacity or not, or what they are looking for. Because customer, their nature, their demands and all that, it tends to change. It keeps on changing. So here, where it is very important to keep a track of everything. A major important question would be: is it possible to continue to provide goods and services to the customer? This is very important for the small businesses to identify whether they can provide goods and services to the customer or not. And third can be many business and customer consumers, they have unmet needs at this time. They looking for something, they're not getting something. I can well I would I would say that small businesses, they should consider a retrofit. They can come with new innovative ideas and for the business, and to meet the unexpected need affecting others. Like for example, I can say that, whether can a garment manufacturer, can they manufacture face masks instead and supply to the government? So they can think for innovative planning. They can think for innovative ideas, and can a chemical manufacturer switch to hand sanitizer instead? So here where building a plan is very, very important. So A stands for assessing, B stands for planning. So this is where business owners and the senior team members need to work together, and they need to work, and they need to decide, they need to review, then they need to implement. So here where evaluating new opportunities are very important. And now it's third is the communication, with the communicate. Now, I'm sure we all are seeing that nowadays. I think webinar is one of the best example. We are connecting. We at this moment we all are connected through webinar. We are interacting. I'm talking to you, and you're talking to me. So here where communication is very important. So once the plan has been developed, it is important to communicate it while identifying each required step. Now, the person accountable, who the person will be accountable for completing it. So it is very important to identify the person who will be accountable to complete this. So this identification is also very important. And budgeted cash flow is very important. Now, companies, they must specify the goals and objective of cash, and for instance, like some initiatives like internet marketing, which is definitely each and every company, they are doing it right now. But small businesses, they need to be very careful with that. They need to see whether they have this technology, because in order to survive in the market, they'll have to have this thing. And so internet marketing may continue contact with the customers. While others, such as discontinuing business segments, will, if the business is not doing well and we cannot survive, so it's better to discontinue business for a while. Definitely, this will preserve cash and other resources. Now, since communication is a two-way stream, it's a two-way stream, and it creates mediums that are more empathetic. When we communicate to each other, we understand, we tend to understand each other, and then we act accordingly. So here, where it creates mediums that are more empathetic and interactive. Now, this allows the customers, consumers to engage with us, with the businesses, while we pull back on large or more expensive, instead of more expensive campaign, rather we need to, reduce the amount on these things. And here where another, I would like to, sir was talking about e-delivery and the e-services, and now the more customers are turning to e-services, for the daily needs, ranging from grocery shopping online to food delivery. So this situation should be a wake-up call for you, for them, for the small businesses to have
Dr.
a
Julie,
closer.
Dr. Julie, you'll have to
Yes,
end
sir.
in next 1 minute, please. Next 1 minute.
Right, sir. Okay. So I would like to come up with a solution. Two, three things I would like to talk about, sir. Universities can go for a tie-up with for small businesses. Here, where this way, I would like to talk about. I would like to I would like to tell the advantages. What will be the best point if the universities can go for a tie-up with small businesses, small, medium SMEs. So this way, young students can, and researchers in projects, they can deal and they can understand the real industrial problems. This encourages entrepreneurial growth as well, and this promotes innovation process in SME companies to close collaboration with the universities. One last thing, sir, I would like to talk about. Let's talk about like bottom-up leadership approach is need of the hour at this moment. Here, where this can lead to devolve leadership responsibilities by letting others, facilitating meetings on behalf of the organization. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to speak.
Thank you, ma'am. You talked about recovery plans, to create new recovery plans and identify KRAs of your team members in the revised or reformed situation. You talked about team plan with a common goal and COVID resistant teamwork. You have talked about assessing, building, and communicating framework, ABC framework, which in details you've gone. I'm not getting into that once again. Very important point, Pareto principle, 20% of customers brings in 80% of business. So the need to focus on that 20% of customers rather than frittering your energy or resources on the entire gamut. Internet networking, marketing, digital marketing is a major way, no doubt. University consulting services for MSMEs, university involvement in the working of MSMEs, good suggestion, and bottoms up leadership. This is another aspect that you brought forth. There are a couple of questions, but we'll take it up after the next speaker. I have saved a major speaker, an international figure now, Anil Lamba, chartered accountant, financial literacy activist, trainer, author, Lamkin School. That's his one-man school which runs to actually train entrepreneurs and startups in how to handle cash, how to handle finance, how to understand cash flow very practically. He has been, there are, at least in Western India, I know there are scores of businessmen, scores of startups who have started their business after doing a course with Anil Lambaji. Over to Anil Lambaji. After a very, very long time, we are interacting since my days in Pune. So thank you very much for accepting our request for coming in and waiting for almost 2 hours to have your chance. Anil Lambaji, and please wait, everyone. We'll be taking question answer after Anil Lambaji's talk. He's an expert on finance and cash flow management. Host may focus on Anil Lambaji. You can come on video. Yes, that's the big man there. Some 1,500 books. 1,500
Hi,
books.
sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. It was a pleasure listening to you, and also to Jayanta, and also to Minochar, old friend, and Mr. Gadvi of Lupin. It was pleasure. Great learning exercise today, Ujjwal. Thanks to you. After a long time, I have sat and listened. I'm so used to speaking that this is a nice experience.
For a change.
Yes. So it was wonderful. So I will not take too much time, because this subject, either you should give me at least 2 to 3 days of uninterrupted speaking. Or I was discussing with Ujjwal when he called up about this talk, that the 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I said, what will I tell them in finance? The subject is so vast. Topic, of course, is the recovery of MSMEs post-COVID and the role of finance management, which is given to me. Folks, role of finance management is undeniable, COVID or no COVID. But post-COVID, it becomes even more magnified. I don't know how many of you are aware that, a study was conducted of all the sick businesses in the world. And the idea was to find out, why do businesses go sick? Now, normal thinking would be businesses go sick because we know the pace at which technologies change. Sometimes companies do not keep pace with the change. New companies come in with latest technologies. Older companies, in comparison, their technology is outdated. They become obsolete. So one of the reasons for business failure could be technological obsolescence. Second reason for business failure can be that problem is not with technology. People know how to make the product very well, but their weakness is they don't know how to sell it. So sometimes marketing inefficiency can lead to sickness also. Still other time companies shut down because of labor problems. Unions sometimes are pretty unreasonable. For months production comes to a halt, and so on and so forth. But folks, a study was conducted, and in that study it was found that all these reasons that I just mentioned put together were not even responsible for 5% of business failures. And over 95% businesses had failed because of financial mismanagement. Now, according to me, this is a pity. If somebody goes sick because their technology is out of date, why is technology out of date? Because suddenly a giant has come up in front of them from overseas as a competitor. The giant is miles ahead in technology. This poor guy doesn't have the money to buy new technology and he fails. How do you blame him? When somebody says my business failed because of labor problems, your sympathies go out to him. How do you blame him? But when a company says, I failed, my business failed. Why? Because of financial mismanagement. I think the entire blame should lie on that person's shoulders. Now tell me, why does it happen? Why do so many companies fail due to bad finance management? Don't they understand the importance of having a strong finance department? And the answer is, despite having the finest finance department in the world, your company can be guilty of financial mismanagement. Why? Because this is one funny subject where very little finance management happens in finance department. You see, much of what you call finance management is actually accountancy. Accountancy happens in finance department. Finance management or mismanagement is happening across the organization. Because every action of every individual in the company is actually a financial action. A salesperson out on the field, when he takes a decision about the price to be quoted or the credit to be given to the customer, these are financial decisions. Production scheduling decision is first a financial decision, then a production decision. Every HR decision has a financial implication. In fact, these are the people, the production guy, the HR guy, these are the people whose actions determine the profit of the company. The people you call as finance people, very important people. I'm one myself. But the people you call the finance people are the ones who come into the picture after the good or the damage is done. They do a post-mortem. After the production guys have finished producing, the sales guys have finished selling, the HR guys have finished their job, those guys will calculate and tell you whether the organization has made a profit or a loss. Now see the paradox. The people who call themselves finance people are the ones who are not generating profit, who are calculating profit. And the people who are the real generators call themselves non-finance. And because of this inability to understand that everybody has to be financially literate, the price paid is, in the world, out of every 100 businesses that shut down, more than 95 businesses shut down due to bad finance management. So first of all, I'm saying the need for finance management exists, COVID or no COVID. During COVID, for survival, it has become an absolute must. The need for understanding finance is magnified. Now, problem only I'm grappling is, what do I tell you in this limited 15 minutes that Ujjwal has granted? Because the subject is vast. We can sit here for 30 days, morning to evening, and still not complete telling you every dimension. If you give me 2-3 days, I can teach you maybe a few breakthrough cost management strategies for post-COVID. We can talk about a few mantras I have, how you can improve profits without even increasing turnovers. But all these need a lot of time. But to do justice to whatever I have, let me leave you with a few practical points. I hope they make sense, because not enough foundation has been laid for me to explain those. But folks, everybody, to understand finance, everybody should have a working knowledge of a balance sheet. Now, to give you a very quick idea, a balance sheet, as we know, has liabilities and assets. Liabilities only represent where the money has come from, and assets represent where the money has gone. And where does money come from? Money in any organization comes from two areas. It comes from owners and it comes from outsiders. And where does it go? It goes into two areas. It goes towards creation of infrastructure, and it goes towards working capital. Now, folks, my experience is most business people, most entrepreneurs are aware of their cost of production, of their cost of administration, of their cost of selling. But very few entrepreneurs are aware of their cost of capital. And within capital, the biggest mistake they make is they think that owner's money is free. Loan money, borrowed money has a cost. Whereas the truth is, the most expensive source of money is owner's money. Because I have one golden rule that you see the liability side, which represents sources, has a cost. The asset side that represents uses has an ability to earn. Golden rule number one is you should never ever invest your money in any business unless you are sure what you can earn through the deployment of resources is at least equal to the cost of capital or greater than the cost of capital. But the tragedy is most people don't even know the cost of capital. And therefore, the perception of cost is far lower than what it really is. And therefore, they take up projects, they invest their money into areas, and they do not even earn equal to the cost of capital. And the worst thing is they don't even know it. There's a very reputed organization called Bain, which one of the owners used to be that Mitt Romney, the US politician who stood for presidential election in 2012. Now, Bain and Company has said in the US, 9 out of 10 companies are not even covering cost of capital because of this inability to understand. Now, folks, what I'm trying to tell you is the cheapest source actually is borrowed money. Now, question is, how do you fund your business in this COVID thing? So the government in the stimulus package has tried to make loans easily available, has hopefully tried to reduce the cost of loans, has also given you a moratorium period for it. So today, the cheapest source that you can use is borrowed money. However, don't ever borrow money without ensuring two things. As I said, golden rule number one, when you borrow money, you will deploy it somewhere. Understand where you will deploy and how much will you earn. Make sure what you will earn from the deployment is at least equal to or greater than the cost of borrowing. Number two, folks, doesn't matter the moratorium, banks will continue to charge you interest and they will expect the money back. It is not a gift, it is a loan. And therefore, when you borrow money, it comes with a condition to repay. But when you deploy the money on the asset side, it has the ability to come back. Julie talked about cash flow. This is what cash flow is. Today, you will invest the cash, tomorrow it will go around a circle and come back. It is not only important that the cash comes back, it is important that the inflow of cash should happen before the outflow of cash has to happen on account of repayment of loan. Folks, make sure these two golden rules are not violated. Even if one rule is violated, you will pay a price. But if you don't violate these two rules, then the more you will borrow, the more you will prosper. Most companies, most sick companies' balance sheet, if you pick up, you will find the reason for sickness is violation of one out of these two rules. These are my rules, they are not standard rules, but bring me a sick company's balance sheet and I will tell you which of the two rules were violated. So tip number one. Number two, in these tough times, you see if left-hand side of the balance sheet sources costs and right-hand side can earn. Problem is, all the sources cost, whether it is bank borrowing or it is borrowing from the owner. In fact, owner, as I said, is the most expensive. But when you invest this money in acquisition of assets, all the assets do not earn. I repeat, all the sources cost, but entire deployment does not earn. Why does it not earn? Because every business has to have, they have to invest money, a certain portion of money in what is known as non-performing assets. You see, non-performing assets you hear in the banking context. I'm now speaking in the industry context. And I want you to understand non-performing asset does not mean non-essential. So your non-performing can be further broken up into essential non-performing assets and non-essential non-performing assets. So I'm saying your assets can be divided into 3: performing assets, essential non-performing assets, and non-essential non-performing assets. Now, folks, imagine you borrowed 100 and your cost of capital is 20. Then when you invest 100, you must earn at least 20%. Only then you will survive. But what if your breakup between performing and non-performing is 50-50? Now 100 is costing you 20%, but the 100 invested, half of it is not earning. It's an essential non-performing asset. So you will find you will have to earn 40%. So it is bad enough that an organization has to have essential non-performing assets. It is a crime to possess non-essential non-performing assets. So my second tip is, in these dire times, in these tough times, all those of you who are running industries right now, start an exercise tomorrow. Make a list of all your assets. Identify what type they are. And the first thing you do is identify the non-essential, non-performing assets and get rid of them. Release the money. Bring it back into circulation. Concentrate only on the performing assets. That itself will take your profitability up. And third thing you should focus on costing. You see, if you don't understand the concept of marginal costing, then I think you should read up on that earliest. There's a very fascinating word in marginal costing called contribution. You must understand the concept of contribution. Doesn't matter how bad your situation, doesn't matter how tough your situation, you will have to compromise on prices right now. If necessary, you can sell at a loss. But don't ever sell at negative contribution. And contribution means your selling price minus your variable costs. So Julie brought out a very, very important, I was very glad to hear her, even though she says she's not a finance person, but she brought out some very important financial points. And one of them she suggested to you was switch to variable costs if possible. Because this is to be a dynamic finance management. During happy days, you should have higher fixed costs and lower variable costs. During tough days, you should have higher variable and lower fixed. But from your sales, if you minus the variable cost, what is left is contribution. So sometimes if your selling price is 300 and your cost is 250, maximum discount you might give is 50. But if you study your 250 of cost, you may find out of which 150 is variable and 100 is fixed cost. So from 300 selling price, if you recover 150 variable, you have a positive contribution. I am trying to tell you, if need be, you may sell at a loss in these tough times, but never ever sell at negative contribution. If you are selling your product at a negative profit, but a positive contribution, I don't know whether what I'm saying is making sense or not, because this should have preceded by a couple of hours of input. But if you are understanding, let me continue for those of you. If you're selling your product at a negative profit, but a positive contribution, as your volumes will go up, your profit will also become positive. But in your desperation, if you ever start selling at negative contribution, then the more you sell, the more you will lose. So Ujjwal, I don't know how much more to say because I have crammed in a lot of things in a very short. I had expressed my apprehension to you when you asked me to speak itself, that each of these points I can go on for 2 to 3, 4 hours. But I think let me save some time for question answers now.
You actually made a fabulous contribution, sir. I mean, in such simple words, few words, you actually struck the points. I'll just allow me 1 minute to repeat some of the key points, and then we'll take questions. And the people can keep asking questions. Magnified role of finance management post-COVID. It is always important, pre or post or with or without, but magnified role now, very important. Why companies fail? Technological obsolescence, marketing inefficiency, labor problems, or financial mismanagement. This was true before COVID. This will be true in future as well. Other departments perform well or bad. Finance comes into the picture last. They do not actually determine the profit or loss. It's the working of the other departments that depend. Every department or executive must be financially literate. This is a crucial point. There are fabulous performers who are otherwise financially not so literate in business, unfortunately. Everybody should have a working knowledge of the balance sheet. Cost of capital not understood, particularly in context of owner's money. Owner's money is taken for granted, and therefore the cost of owner's money is not understood properly. Borrow money when you are sure about where to deploy it and at what returns, at what cost and at what returns. Inflow and outflow of cash. Understanding of the inflow and outflow factors is very significant, whether you are in finance department or otherwise, any business person. Non-performing assets. This is very important. Essential non-performing assets to grow the business and non-essential non-performing assets. And your suggestion is not to focus at all on non-performing, non-essential non-performing assets at all, not to focus on them in this period of crisis, and to get into costing, particularly less fixed costs. Fixed cost has to be much lower, and a variable cost focus obviously will be there. And I really appreciate the way you, even in this 10-12 minutes, and I really appreciate that 10 minutes is what you have stuck to. And even in 10-11 minutes, you have brought in a lot of points, and I completely agree to you. There has to be a minimum of 2 days, 6 + 6, 12 hours at least, if not more, to understand finance management post-COVID. Maybe we will do that. And obviously, you are kind enough to come just out of love and fresh air to talk to us today. But a formal training has to be a professional engagement. I do also understand that. And thank you, Anilji. You are a very senior trainer, coach in the finances aspect, and you have been training dozens and dozens of individually also startup founders. I'm aware of many of them, and thank you very much for what you have shared just now. We'll take up a few questions. Takeaway, the big takeaway is the theory of contribution. You said owner's capital. Now, Amitabh Ghosh is asking, you said owner's capital, cost of capital is the highest versus borrowed money. But we know the cost of equity capital as the owner of the business is the lowest. Your comments, please.
Mr. Ghosh, big myth is equity is the lowest. Equity is the most expensive source of money. Again, given time, I would have step by step illustrated to you, but I would recommend the rock bottom at the cost that you should attribute to equity is at least 3 times of the cost of borrowed money. If you can borrow at 10%, then equity should be considered at least at 30%. I'm giving you a thumb rule. This is nothing rigid about it. But I would say minimum 3%, 3 times.
I think you have given the thumb rule itself is clear enough what you have given. Thank you, sir. Dr. Manoj Singh. Thank you, sir, for explaining such a complex thing in a simple way. We discussed that people are now learning to live with basic needs, thereby saving money. But at the same time, market is not able to earn. What effect of these savings and not spending will have on the economy?
Terrible effects. As you correctly said, where will people spend from if they're not earning? And therefore, the onus is on the government, which is why stimulus packages, etc., become very, very important. When the people cannot spend, the economy will come to a grinding halt. So if people cannot spend, the government has to start spending, start the movement, start the rolling process. That's how it will be, economy will begin. So I think the government's role is crucial right now.
I totally agree. I completely agree that government has to put in money in the hands of small businesses and the people at the lower level. The demand side has to increase, and that's what even BJP's MP, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, has been telling as against the existing principle or the policy of the government just now. There has to be investment in the hands of the people in cash. Supply side investment cannot revive the economy. Demand side investment has to be there. There is a comment from Suresh Kapiti. A question: how to do litmus test before assets buying, whether they are performing or not performing assets?
This depends upon their planning and forecasting. I mean, entrepreneurs, basically, that is what they are supposed to understand. You get into business because you understand, hopefully, the market. So if one gets in foolishly, installs capacities, creates capacities, and then find there are no orders. Now that is a big failing. So it all depends on the maturity of these. So no answers to that. So we assume you have set up a business because either you had people waiting with orders for you, or you are an existing business and who have decided to expand. So we are saying make sure your assets that you acquire as far as possible are performing assets. You have to have non-performing assets also, but they have to be essential. I mean, you own a car. Your car runs beautifully. Is it a performing asset or a non-performing asset? It's a non-performing asset. A taxi owner's car is a performing asset. But that doesn't mean you should not have a car. You have to move from point A to point B. So every business has to have a certain element of non-performing assets, but make sure it is at the minimum. Your maximum money should go into performing assets.
The car is an essential non-performing asset rather than a non-essential.
May not be, Ujjwal. There should be Uber facility. There should be car sharing.
Okay.
But maybe, so if you have 20 cars in your company, you should have maybe 2 cars. Rest of them should start pooling. So there is scope for improvement in everything.
Very good. That's a very good point. Mr. Lake Sood is asking, can you, sir, explain more on the cost of owner's capital?
See, cost of owner's capital, first of all, tell me why would you start a business? Why would you put money in a business? If you don't put money in a business, you can easily put it in a bank. Let's say you can earn 5-6%. You can put it in fixed deposits and earn 7-8%. You can put it in bonds and earn little higher percent. You can put it in risky ventures and earn still more. You can buy stocks, may not today, but on a regular, today, of course, great time to buy. But otherwise, in the long run, stock investment, mutual funds have given you 20-25% returns in the past. So tell me, why would one ever invest money in business if you're going to earn less than that? So you have deprived yourself of multiple opportunities to invest and put it in the business. So first of all, if outside you can earn say 15-20%, at least the business has to earn more than that. Number 2, those investments are almost risk-free, especially as you are into bank deposits and so on. In business, there's an immense amount of risk. Should you not have a little cushion for that? Number 3, when you invest outside, who is earning for you? Your money is earning for you. You are free. But when you invest in business, you not only invest money, but then you start working morning 8 o'clock to evening 9 o'clock and invite blood pressures and stresses and so on. Don't you deserve 10-15% for that? So I'm saying you add up all these things. It should not happen that a business person feels if I shut down the business and put it in somewhere else, I'll be earning more. Then are you here only to do social service?
Very well said. Very well said.
Right.
One question more, sir. But you don't leave us because I'll come back at the end with new questions in between some other speakers also.
Evening is dedicated to you, Ujjwal. No
thank
problem.
you. Now we'll finish by 7:30-35 at least.
Not too
Twincy Shah is asking, any tool to reduce variable cost? Please share.
You see, Twincy, there are 2 things to be done. One is if there are any wasteful costs, you must, like just as non-performing assets should be eliminated, wasteful costs should not be there. And thereafter, you have to swap. Wherever possible in happy days meaning boom times, you should, wherever possible, exchange a variable cost with a fixed cost. And in tough times like these times, wherever possible, you should exchange a fixed cost with a variable. Now, why should you do that? Why are fixed costs better during good days and bad during tough days? Because if you plot a graph, if your sales is going up, variable cost goes up in the same proportion, but fixed cost is a straight line. So advantage of fixed cost is when things are moving in your favor, when business is booming, income goes up, but cost doesn't go up. So this gap between income and cost becomes wider and wider. But the problem arises during downturns. The good thing about fixed costs is when income goes up, cost doesn't go up. The bad thing about fixed costs is when income starts dropping, the cost doesn't drop. And therefore, if your finance management is dynamic, you'll get the best of both worlds. So the question in your mind has to be which variable cost can be exchanged with fixed costs and vice versa. Raw material can never be. Raw material will continue to remain variable. It cannot become fixed. But what I'm trying to tell you is if you want to make a new product and you have a choice, should I make it in-house or should I outsource? Folks, if you make it in-house, there will be an element of fixed cost. If you outsource, it is only variable cost. So the message seems to be during good days, as far as possible, make it in-house. During tough days, you outsource. Julie made a very important point about salaries, I think. Folks, if your business is booming and there's lots of business to be taken, what you want is a live wire sales team, and you are planning a recruitment campaign and you're figuring out how to reward those recruits. Your choice is, should we give them higher salary, lower incentive, or a lower salary, higher incentive? You must understand salary is a fixed cost, incentive is a variable cost. So during happy days, you should maybe offer a salary which is 2 times the highest paying company in the industry, but no incentive. Now, what will happen if you offer a salary 100% more than anybody else? The best talent of industry comes to you. This best talent takes your sales graph moving upwards, but it has come accompanied by a fixed cost. It is a genuinely win-win situation. But in tough days, you should say, maybe I'll give you higher incentives, but no fixed cost. That means if they bring business, you have to pay. If they don't bring business, there is no cost. So there are multiple such things. During happy days, you should probably take more of debt normally. Why? Because debt has a fixed cost. Interest is a fixed cost. Equity is expensive. So when your income is going up, cost gets frozen. Equity becomes safe because equity is not cheap, but equity is safe. Why? Because you don't have to pay it back. And therefore, in tough days, if you have a high loan where you're committed to pay back, which is why I told you importance of cash flow, make sure it comes back before it has to be paid back. Right. If you cannot, then equity it becomes your savior.
Sir, we surely need a 2 days training from you. Indeed, this is really good. As far as in the short run, for everyone who's listening, let me tell it's on YouTube. It will be shared on our Adamas University Facebook page as well, wall as well. And you can ask for the link of the YouTube from while you are taking the e-certificate from our organizers. Please ensure that you re-listen to this. And again, go back, rewind, and again, third time listen. Then only we will understand every point being told. Please wait, sir. We will come back to you in a moment. Host, please focus on Mr. Gadvi. There is a certain question from Mr. Pravindhan Gadvi. Please focus on Mr. Gadvi. And Mr. Gadvi, kindly come. Yes. Mr. Amitabh Ghosh is asking, Mr. Gadvi, you mentioned managing the supporting industry will enable MSMEs to revive their business. But MSMEs themselves are in trouble. How can they actually manage to support supporting industries?
See, as I have mentioned that whenever we do business, there will be a definitely support in terms of inflow as well as the outflow. So we cannot run business individually. If we want to success ourselves, we have to ensure that others also get succeed. So if you focus on win-win situation, the medium scale industry may have some different type of supporting industry. They may be on medium scale or micro size. So if we see that during the tough time, if we focus on individual success only, then the situation will not improve. We have to focus on win-win situation. We have to understand that whoever supporting us also should get benefited, and by this way only we get benefited. So in whichever industry, there will be a supporting part in terms of different aspect, but definitely we have to think on the win-win situation between each other.
Thank you, Gadviji. Very convincingly answered. There is the question from Anil PC. Can we make India manufacturing hub in the given situation of today, and particularly in the context of China not being favored by many Western countries? How do you look at that?
So on this particular industry front, the government has taken a lot of initiative to support business and encourage them to invest more, making more Atmanirbhar Bharat. But I feel that the most of the things may be more political, so that immediately we feel that from day after tomorrow or immediate scenario, we will start business in India. But this is not the real practical way to do the business. As a professional, we maintain the relationship with inside as well as outside the business. So slowly, strategically, we have to decide that whether we have to switch over from our dependence from overseas, and can we establish the business in India or not. So these are the steps I think very cautiously industry and entrepreneur has to decide. Normally on political news and the scenario is being surviving surrounding way, we get the feeling that immediately we'll switch over from the dependency on overseas. But in real picture, this is not being happen because there are a lot of factors we have to understand, in particularly pharma field. So the changing from dependency on overseas, it needs to be thoroughly understood, as Mr. Lamba has mentioned, that we have to identify the risk factor, and based on all risk factor, we have to define our business plan. So India definitely can be a business hub, but That is depends on lot of factors. Still, we have more challenge on easy of doing business in India. So those are all factors has to be addressed very carefully.
Very well said. That it's not an easy thing to make India manufacturing hub just because the West is unhappy with China. Very well said. And also the point that Atmanirbharta or Atmanirbhar goal is a long run process. In the short run, it's politics, but only in the long run, it can be an economics. Very well said, sir. Also, I would like to personally ask, India is known for services. The growth of services has been phenomenal in India compared to product manufacturing. So in the given post-COVID scenario, do you think that our services primacy will remain so, or the changing dynamics of economy and technology will change the character of services?
Are you talking on health sector or overall?
Health or overall services, but you can speak in the health context.
No, if we focus on health sector, see there are a number of opportunities will come immediately based on the current scenario. Say someone has asked that should we go on the personal protective equipment? Now government is encouraging that each and every person has to wear the mask. Now the scenario is demanding that we have to use the sanitization. So these are the new opportunities coming up in the market. I feel that we have to focus on two parts. One is the commodity product and another is complex generic product. So in commodity product, short term, definitely that can be a opportunity and potential to invest the money, but that will be a great competition where because it's non-commodity and easily anyone can establish their business. So on long term, if we invest much more and our fixed cost is higher, and as Mr. Lamba said that in tough time, if higher fixed costs and higher competence may not be a sustainable business. But if you want to go on complex generic product, then definitely a very sustainable growth we can target. And as far as the health sector is concerned, now what we are feeling that in surrounding overall globe, India is becoming a more stronger position on health sector. Our US policies also get liberalized. We are getting more product approval in health sector. We can establish new setup on health sector considering complex generic product manufacturing. So these are a lot of opportunity, particularly in health sector, but we want to understand that whether it is commodity or complex generic. Yes, complex generics may have initial challenges, but on long term it will be sustainable. On commodity product, it will be a short term project we can say, but that will be a tough competition, and during term competition survival will be a question mark.
Thank you. I really appreciate that the Indian health sector is coming up very fast. And there is a genuine possibility of India becoming a major hub for at least the pharma, if not the other services, other categories. For pharma, for sure, there is a big possibility in Lupin itself. And I'm very happy to see, we are all very proud to see the work being done by Serum Institute as well with respect to its association with Oxford University to produce a vaccine for COVID. Thank you, Gadvi Saab, for your contribution to this discussion today. I hope you also enjoyed the talk so far. Please be there till the end. The host may focus on Dr. Jayanta Chakraborty, please. The host may focus on Dr. Jayanta Chakraborty and Dr. Jayanta Chakraborty. Please come up on the video. Dr. Jayanta Chakraborty, yes. Dr. Chakraborty, question for you. You have spoken about globalizing business. Now, in a situation where MSME has business crisis inside India or in their immediate vicinity, would the focus first be on protecting their turf or expanding their business? What should be and why?
It is always that you have to do the basic first because you need to survive right now. Then you can think about thriving. So right now, the situation is you need to recompose and redesign your existing structure. Then you can think on only because these are not a generic answer and basically depends on which domain you are doing business. It may happen that the person is not in a position to access the global market and the product what he is dealing with, the business what he is dealing with may not be that type of product also or business also. Am I clear?
Can you, in conclusion, give first 3 steps just now on strategic role of MSMEs, the first 3 steps that they should take immediately now that lockdown, unlock 1 is happening and unlock 2 is coming, the first 3 steps that they should do strategically or operations
Step
wise?
number one is to gain back the confidence of the team member.
Right.
Step number two is get back the confidence of the customer. And step number three is look at the operational management side, how competent you are in accessing your system, your inventory, your, if it is supply chain, then it is supply chain. And definitely what Dr. Lamba has already said, this is the heart of the business. If your finance is not right, then everything will go for a toss. So these are the domain you need to be very specific.
So basically, you are looking at confidence building and efficiency raising. So efficiency,
Absolutely.
yeah, cutting down on any inefficiency in operations, leading to unnecessary cost and all that.
Right now, there will be a lot of emphasis on execution and productivity raising.
Right.
And now in many MSME, many workers has left. Many workers, we need to get them back. If you study the news coming from South India, they are offering double wage to get back their workers, the bottom
Right.
line workers.
Right.
And the MSME panorama is quite huge. Up to 250 crore, they are telling it is MSME. Now we have business which is run by 5 people, and we have business which is run by 5,000 people. So every domain have a different specific problem and need actually.
Okay, thank you. They are nice, good, short mantras to begin the journey, confidence building and operations efficiency. Thank you very much. Can the host focus on Dr. Julie Singh Banerjee, please? Dr. Julie Singh Banerjee, please. And please come on video, Dr. Banerjee. Yes. The point that you had said very categorical, and that comes from what Dr. Jayanta has just now said, that, let me give a fact. Asian Paints has doubled the salaries of their executives, whereas large number of organizations, particularly in retail, are giving pink slips to their executives. So what is the approach, right approach now with respect to employment, team building, and similar other things, creating confidence within the team, which also Dr. Jayanta talked about?
It is not advisable, to laying off the employees at this moment. Well, I do understand the constraints of, in terms of financial perspective. But what Asian Paints and other companies, there are few more companies like Asian Paints, they have done, they have followed the same strategy by enhancing the salary of the employees. That definitely brings, made them more motivated, and this will bring 200%. Definitely this will enhance the motivation level, and this will bring win-win situation for the employees as well. And but the thing is that at this moment, a lot of companies are, they are laying off, they are reducing the number of employees, which is not advisable. And instead, as when I was talking about my thing, I told that it's better to move to variable cost rather than fixed cost. We can have a 3 day in a week. We can instead of removing them or in sacking them, we can have a 3 day week. They can work, and well, this strategy, even I was reading somewhere in a foreign research journal, and this strategy, in fact, they are working on this, and this has been found quite fruitful also, and going to implement, most of the companies are going to implement the 3 days a week. They will let them work, and rest of the day and payment will be done accordingly. So I believe that instead of removing them or laying them off forever, it's not right, because at this moment, retain them, pay less for a while, as I said, because this is a situation which we never faced before, and definitely, because we need to understand that these employees, they are an asset for the organization. They are the one who will take the organization on the top. So believing the employees is the need of the hour. If you reject them, the rejection definitely in future, when they will be back to normal, then why will I join that organization if you reject me for a while when I am in need of, I have family, I have my own expenses, and if the companies will reject like this, when they are actually, they have a lot of people dependent on them, this is not right. So, well, the companies can move to variable cost rather than fixed cost, rather than paying for a month. You can, for whole month, instead of paying them for a whole month, they can keep them. They can make this 3 days a week. They can work, they can make them work, and rotation basis. They can ask them to work, and on commission basis, they can pay them. That is from my end.
Good, good, good. That brings a different perspective on wage. And this was one question, similar question related. You can take it from a very senior management consultant, SS Pillai, who is asking how would HR cater to the wage payments when there would be less funds available with the company?
Can you please repeat?
How would HR cater to wage payments when there would be less funds available with the company?
Well, to be honest, it's the same question which which I was talking about right now. Well, see, at this point of time, survival is the need of the hour. हम अगर बच गए, if we are survived, if we are, if our company is survive, can survive in this pandemic, definitely we can do wonders in future. What I believe. It's the same with human being as well. So it's like it's a disease, we need to take precautions so that we cannot, get infected. So it's the companies as well, at this moment when the company doesn't have fund, it's a time to save the reserve rather than, because if they don't have reserve, cash reserves, definitely they are going to land up into bankruptcy. And moreover, company will not be able to, everyone, they'll be on, they'll be nowhere. So instead of doing that, it is a moment to understand each other. Here, where empathy is very important, emotional intelligence, empathy, empathetic situation is very important. We need to understand each other. We need because like for example, if I'm an employee of an organization, I'm working. Definitely, I need to understand the situation of my organization as well. So if I'm loyal to my organization, definitely I will never be, rather I would expect my organization to hire me for a while. For like 3 days or 4 days a week and not pay me much, but at least I don't want to be, they should not remove me as well. Laying off is not the solution at this moment. So retention is more important than, laying them off. The thing is that use less fixed costs to be more variable cost. Let's focus on variable cost and less of fixed cost.
Some organizations are going to that lower the fixed cost, higher the variable cost for employees, and also laying off particularly those who have not been productive enough, and those in the new situation who would not be or who are not in a position to retrain, reimagine their KRAs going ahead. That is also a case. Many people are also, and there may be some logic for doing that. In fact, that because there has to be a retraining and reimagining the KRAs now.
Right, sir. One thing else I would like to say, sir, like here where instead of reducing the salary of the lower level management, we can reduce the salary of those higher level consultants. Higher level. Those who are very highly paid. We can reduce their salary, and the lower level people, they should be paid. They should be continued to paid, instead of laying off, instead of reducing their salary. And moreover, time to learn, relearn, unlearn. It's the time, we need to learn everything. We need to relearn and we need to unlearn everything. So whatever has been taught in HR, we also know about HR. It has been taught that, we need to retain, we need to do this. But this pandemic has crossed all barriers, all theories and everything.
Yes,
and here where we, and here we need to cope up with the situation. Thank you so much, sir.
That is why these discussions are happening, so that at least perspectives are before people what to do ahead.
Right.
And now please host focus again, highlight on Anil Lambaji. Anil Lambaji, Dr. Lamba, this is a question from Vaishakhi Chakravarti. You said every business activity is a financial activity. Hence, even the grassroots level employees should have knowledge of basic knowledge of finance management. Practically, how feasible is this?
Let's say it is desirable. Practically, certain places it is possible, or it may not, but it should start from the top and start. This knowledge doesn't go down to up, it has to come from up to down.
Right.
On the other hand, I am training, there are certain clients of mine where we are training 100,000 people using various means. We train live, we train through e-learning products put on their learning management system. We train with the use of videos, with the use of books. But those companies that realize the importance of this, they ensure that this literacy starts seeping down to as down low as possible. May not reach absolutely at the grassroots level, but top level, middle level, one level lower than that, another level lower than that. I have this very unique concept we have started called creating FIOs. We train over 2,000 companies globally: Europe, US, Middle East, Far East, Africa, Russia, India, multiple countries. And I always say at the end of a training program, what we have done is we have created financially intelligent individuals. But what is required is not financially intelligent individual. You need a financially intelligent organization. So we have created this concept called creating FIO, financially intelligent organization, which is kind of an ISO certificate, first of its kind in the world. Now, for a company to be stamped FIO, there are two things. One is training without information generation is useless. And information generation without training is a waste of effort. So this works on two fronts. We go into the systems, we go into accounting systems, we go into reporting systems. We design customized MIS reports for companies. We tell them which report should be generated when, which employee should receive which report. And then we give training top to bottom to everybody. And to make sure by the time the reports are generated and they read that person knows how to read, understand, interpret, and take action based on that. And when this happens, we will certify that the company is now an FIO, a financially intelligent organization. Ujjwal, my hope and dream is in the coming years, a banker will not give you a loan if you're not an FIO. A shareholder will not buy your share if you're not an FIO. Because if you're not an FIO, it is a matter of time before the company will shut down. And if the company shuts down, owner is not the only person who suffers. In fact, owner suffers the least. Vijay Mallya is sitting comfortably, but who has lost? Bankers have lost, employees lost jobs, vendors lost. Multiple shareholders have lost money. So it is in the mutual interest of everybody that an organization is FIO. So Mr. Chakravarti, it is extremely desirable to see that literacy goes across the organization. And if not across, if it's not practically feasible, maybe because the numbers are too many, then at least 50, 60, 70, 80%, as high a percentage as possible should be your goal, should be your desired objective.
Superb. You are ending with a new concept for us. Financially intelligent organization. If you can really make it a audited, certified sort of a situation, aspect, it would go a long way.
This is a trademark belonging to me. We have started.
Okay. That's very good. Very good. Let's really actually do a major 2-day session on how to turn an organization FIO. Before people apply for FIO, how do they should look at it? What are the benefits of it? What are the aspects of it? There should be a training of 1 or 2 days. Anushya Sarkar is telling, great, sir. Many people have, Baisati Chakravarti, thank you very much. I would have really loved a few more conversations, a few more minutes of conversation, but we have taken already more than 2.5, in fact, 2 hours and 45 minutes. The program was of 2 hours. We are almost close to 3 hours. I have a session with another set of people on physical plus digital, physical university of the future. So I have to take leave, but this was a fabulous session. Dr. Anil Lamba, Dr. Julie, Dr. Chakravarti, Mr. Pravindhan Gadhvi, and Minocher, who is not at this point with us just now. All 5 of you, fabulous discussion we had. We started with maybe around 400 and plus people, but between YouTube and the Zoom, even now it's more than 150 people in spite of almost 3 hours. I hope everyone has taken some lessons from it. It will be available. The YouTube link will be available on the my Facebook wall or timeline of Adamas University within a few hours. So tomorrow morning you can have a look and you can please once again listen to it to understand and comprehend all of this. For those who are looking for talking about e-certificates, the 3 people whose names and numbers were there in the posters, you please contact any of them. They would look into your e-certificate in the next few days. Thank you. And we bring this session, the 3rd in the list or in the series of Life Next series, #Life Next series by Samit Ray Foundation, to an end here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a nice interactive session. Thanks a lot.
Thanks to everybody, to all the speakers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks to all the panelists.